AITA for wanting to break up with my perfect boyfriend. I 19F have been with my boyfriend 19M for the past 2 years. We met in high school when I lived in the US, but after 4 months in the relationship I had to move back to my home country in Europe. Since then he has come to visit me 3 weeks for Christmas last year. I went and spent last summer there, and last Christmas he had bought me a ticket 2 weeks after we had broken up to go see him for 2 weeks, which we got back together after that. Sorry if that's confusing, it was to kinda explain my future arguments. The feeling of wanting to break up with him is not new because long distance is hard, but every time it would go away or I would just dismissed it, but lately it's been a strong and clear feeling, like sometimes we FaceTime and he will be flirty obviously and I will just kinda be disgusted and shut him down, or he will just say things that don't sit right with me anymore, and then we get into an argument, which I usually start. I want to make clear in the story that he is not a bad person at all. He is really nice, but he is a people pleaser and cannot say no to people like his friends and his family, which they take advantage of him sometimes, but he literally cannot take a stand, and I feel like I need someone strong-headed, if that makes sense, like that stands their ground and that is not scared to speak up, say their opinion. What if I need someone to defend me one day, or when I'm around his friends and family I disagree with something, I need a partner that is ready to take a stance, not tell me to not say anything because it's pointless to their opinion. I really love him and he tries to be really supportive and positive in the relationship, which I am not really. I am not going to lie, I have a lot of issues too, such as not being able to communicate and share my feelings properly or even at all, because I find it really hard, but I am working on it and getting better at being vocal. However, I don't want to break his heart by telling him all of this, since I'm a very indecisive and overthinking, anxious person. From his point of view, I am his future wife and mother of his children. He's very optimistic about our relationship and believes I'm his person and soulmate. From my point of view, I don't think he is my person. It feels like I'm not fulfilled, like I can get a man that will treat me how I want to be treated, which is better, but also that meets my standards, and not physically but morally. I'm not asking for someone who thinks the same, but for someone that values and beliefs align with mine. My boyfriend and I also have different religions, and even though he says he doesn't mind, is not closed to the idea of converting. I don't want him to only for me, like I want him to be genuinely interested. Not being very religious myself, I suggested we learn more together, but he kinda just brushed it off. I also have very strong opinions on some subjects, and I am never scared to voice my opinion and take a stance, and if I'm wrong or uneducated about something I am always happy to learn and listen to others' views. It feels like he doesn't really, and quite the opposite, tries to find excuses for other people's behaviors. Now let's talk about the little time we have been together in person, because that alone makes me overthink our whole relationship. First, let's talk about the summer I spent there. I stayed at his house with his family that are very nice to me and treat me really good. I really love them too. He got sick in the first days of me being there. We had to take him to the hospital twice in the first 3 weeks of me being there, which is obviously not his fault at all, and I stayed by his side at the hospital, in his room, or really anywhere he was the whole time. I tried taking care of him and being there for him. I would ask my mom advice since she's a nurse, but he refused to take any and kept being sick basically. Which that is a thing too about him. I feel like he never takes my advice, like never listens to me. Sometimes it just feels like he thinks he's smarter or something like that. After the sickness kind of faded, he got a job which he was supposed to get months ago. Then he was basically at work from really early in the morning until early afternoon, so he would be tired to do stuff, take naps or just go to sleep early, which I guess is understandable too, and I am not gonna lie, he would pay for a lot of our stuff too. But then we didn't get to do a lot together, and it was always me that had to plan things, and he would complain about stuff sometimes, so I just stopped planning. He always promised me things but would almost never keep his promises. There was a lot of things he would do I was not okay with, and that would make me uncomfortable, etc. I don't drink or smoke. He smokes and his friends drink a lot. Personally, I don't care what they do, but I have past traumas because of an alcohol and drug addict, violent dad, which he knows about. At first I was okay with getting used to being around his drunk, high friends including him, but as time went by I became uncomfortable and would isolate myself from them. They were always at his house, by the way. Also, as he knew I didn't like him smoking, he would always do it behind my back, and I suspect he lied to me multiple times since he came back from work high and would just say he was tired, but then I would find eye drops for red eyes or something like that in his car. I think the one time I knew I had enough was when again he didn't keep his promise of taking me to get ice cream, and his friends came over during daytime and got drunk and high. When I isolated myself and told him why, he insisted we still go get ice cream, but we'll all ride with his friend, which I did not know was drunk or whatever they were on. That was one of the scariest drive of my life. It brought so many bad memories, and after I told him I was uncomfortable later, he just apologized and didn't think it was that bad. Also, his friends were not the nicest to me. Sometimes they would literally walk past me without greeting me. They also wouldn't really include me in their talks or anything, which made me so sad. I just felt alone and cried about it so many times at night when he would be sleeping. He demanded my male friends respect him and acknowledge him, but his friends never gave me that respect, and when I tell him that, he always finds excuses for them. Same thing when I planned a whole surprise birthday party for him. He told me he had never had one before, so I planned for months, put a lot of money, time and effort, invited all his friends and everything for them to not show up on time, but just at the time they wanted. Even the one that was supposed to distract him that I had talked to weeks before basically cancelled on me the day of. Honestly, there is so much more, but let's keep it at that. Might be TMI. Last thing I want to talk about is our life in the bedroom, because at this point I decay if there is a problem with me or if he's just not doing things right. I usually enjoy doing things with him because I love him, but every single time he gets satisfied and I never do and end up kind of frustrated. I'm just left like that. Sometimes there is no aftercare either, or if I ask for more since I'm not satisfied, he will find an excuse or just make me feel like I'm asking for too much or promise me more later, but then when I ask, find an excuse. He will ask me for things but doesn't really reciprocate, or just again makes me feel bad or very self-conscious. I don't really feel pleasured, and he tries and he feels bad sometimes, but I DK what to do. When I try to voice it, he makes me feel bad. He just says he's sorry, which he does that every time I'm vocal about something. He either acts like a victim and apologizes a lot, kind of to make you feel bad. He complains to me about his mom doing it, but he does the same, or he will try to Uno reverse and be like, well, you do this or that. I know I talked about a lot out the downsides of the relationship, but he is also my best friend, listens to me rant if I ever need to. We laugh a lot together. We're comfortable around each other and I love him so much. He is my first love and my high school sweetheart. We also have been through quite a few things together since I lived in a mentally host family when I used to live in the USA. We're very trusty of each other and I just let him go whatever he wants, and same for him. He is very sweet and tries to reassure me all the time. His love language is definitely words of affirmation, because every night before he goes to sleep he sends me a sweet message. He used to be very depressed and take a bunch of pills, but since we have been together he is genuinely way happier, doesn't take them anymore. He seems more confident and always tells me that he would do whatever to keep me in his life. He is a very sweet person and always tries to help people. He loves me so much. Also, I am not any near perfect. I make a lot of mistakes myself and have a strong, hard temperament. I can be a lot to deal with at times. He talks about our future constantly and seems so excited about it. I don't want to break his heart or mine really, but it feels like we don't have the same expectations right now. I know it sounds bad, but we're young. I want to explore the world and not men wise, but like experience things, learn about things, and I feel like he doesn't have the same mentality as me. That if I stay with him I might miss out on the things I've always dreamt of doing, like traveling and getting my own apartment, being independent, making new friends, boy and girl, making mistakes and learning from them, because that's life too. I don't want to worry about money my whole life too. I want to live with the money I make, and I feel like because his parents are both so worried and centered around money, he is the same. I want to learn and figure out myself too. I want to try new things, new hobbies, sports, and discover myself as a new adult, figure out what I like and don't like, how I want to live later, etc. I'm scared I'm going to let go of someone really good and that I'll never find someone as good as him, but at the same time I really want him to be happy, and he says it's with me and that he would be miserable without me, but I'm not fully content with my life in general right now and I'm just trying to figure it out. I really don't want to break up with him right now. He is such an important person in my life and I would be crushed, but at the same time it has been on my mind a lot lately. I'm scared of not knowing how to be with him or being disappointed too, because every time we have been together in person it has been for a limited amount of time and not for the everyday life, if it makes sense. I am moving back to the US in a few months to go to college, but it will be in a far state from him, but still on the same side of the country. He will be out of college a few months after I move back. Therefore, should I wait and see how the relationship evolves, or should I break up with him and then figure it out later, because we both believe if we're meant to be, life will bring us back together. If you have any advice or experience to share, I will be more than happy and grateful to read it. Thank you for taking your time to read all of this. It means a lot. Hard hands.